Hi my loves, welcome back to Lavendaire. It's Aileen. Today I wanted to make a video for those of you who are in your 20s, maybe you're feeling lost, you don't have a direction in life, or you just not feeling the most on point. So these are things that I wish I knew when I was in my 20s. I am 31 now. I know. I don't feel like it though. I feel like I'm still 26 maybe. But anyway, I'm very excited to share some pieces of advice for you, whether you're in your 20s or any age, but we are here to learn how we can understand ourselves, tap into our fullest potential, and create the life of our dreams. Without further ado, let's get into the tips. First things first, nobody knows what they're doing. It's okay to feel lost. It's okay to not have everything figured out. In fact, it's normal. So don't feel like you're the only one that's going through this, or that you have to have things figured out right away. You have to have a plan. I know when you've been in school all your life, you're used to having rules. You're used to having like a syllabus. Like, this is what you're doing. This is your homework. We're learning this lesson this week. And life is not like that. Life is not that like clear cut, and nobody's giving you like a step-by-step guidebook on how to live life. And that could be a scary thing, or it can be a beautiful thing. Think of this as a beautiful opportunity to figure out who you are, what you want out of life, and start to put like the first baby steps in motion. This is your time to explore, try new things, and even make mistakes, and be okay with that process. I understand that this is much easier said than done, and thinking back to how I felt when I was 20 and 21, I just could not be okay with not having things figured out. Like, physically, it was hurting me. I was going through depression. It was all that pressure that I had to succeed, and so many mental health related issues. And so I'm just saying that I understand what you're going through. I feel you. And if you feel like it's too dark in your mind and you need some support, then definitely reach out to your loved ones, and you can even consider therapy. At this point, I want to thank BetterHelp for sponsoring today's video, a very fitting sponsor for this topic and this era in your life, because it's not easy going through your 20s and feeling lost and dealing with the pressure from your parents or society. So BetterHelp is professional counseling done securely online. BetterHelp will assess your needs and match you with your own licensed professional therapist. There's a broad range of expertise in BetterHelp's counselor network, which may or may not be locally available in many areas. So it's very accessible. Their service is available for clients worldwide. The way it works is you can log in anytime and message your counselor, or you can also schedule phone or video calls as well. I prefer phone calls because I don't like to show my face, but I know a lot of people love video calls with their therapist. BetterHelp also makes it easy and free to change counselors if you don't like yours, and you can cancel anytime if you don't like it. It's more affordable than traditional therapy, and financial aid is also available. So if you're interested in trying out BetterHelp, you can go to my link at betterhelp.com/Aileen to get 10% off your first month. I'll leave the link down below as well. Lesson number 2, take your biggest risks while you're young. This is hands down one of the best pieces of advice I actually got in college, because when you are young, you don't have much to lose. You don't have like a mortgage or kids to take care of. You don't have many obligations or responsibilities outside of maybe paying student loans, but for the most part, you're pretty carefree. And so it's easier to take risks because you have less to lose. It's also good because when you are young, you have so much time, so much life ahead of you, that even if you take a risk and you fail, you have plenty of time to pick yourself back up. And the reason why I encourage taking risks in the first place is because higher risks usually equals high reward, but there's also chance of failure. Any age, it's okay to fail, but when you're young, it's easier to fail because, like I mentioned, you don't have much to lose. So in your 20s, you should actually aim to make mistakes and aim to fail. Don't be afraid of failure, because it really is part of the process of learning and growing. Tip number 3 is to think long-term and have a big picture goal. I think it's so important to have at least an idea of where you want to be in the big picture, in the larger scheme of things, because I've seen people not have a big picture goal, and so they kind of live life taking things step by step. They go with the flow. And although that can lead you to some great opportunities, sometimes it leads you to get stuck and living life for a few years, not knowing where you're actually going, not actually going anywhere, you know, just staying in the same place. And then maybe 5-10 years later, you're like, what the heck am I doing? This is not the life I wanted to live. What? And that's how midlife crises start. So don't be afraid to dream big and lay out your vision of your ideal life, because if you have that vision, then you can use it as your compass. With every opportunity or every step that you take, you can ask, okay, does this seem related? Is this even going in the right direction of my big picture goal or dream life vision? You don't actually need to know the exact steps that you have to take to get to that big picture goal. It's almost impossible to know all the little steps that you have to take because it's so far away. But all you need is a North Star. You need to have a dream, you need to have that goal so that it can guide you along as you make choices in life. There will be times where it'll be hard when you have to make a decision between short-term certainty and safety versus following your long-term goal. Sometimes they don't get along. So a lot of people, if they don't have a long-term goal, they just keep making life choices based on what feels safe or certain or I guess convenient at the time for the short term. So they're making short-term choices, and then year after year, eventually they realize they're nowhere where they wanted to be because they ignored having that clear vision, having that goal, and taking the steps that you need to take in order to get close to that goal. Tip number 4 is to realize that nobody cares about you as much as you think they do. And as sad as it sounds, it's also incredibly freeing because it means that you're actually more free to do what you want and to be who you are instead of like caring about other people's opinions and judgments. The truth is, people are always going to have an opinion. There will always be people who criticize you and judge you based on their perspective in life and what they value. But it doesn't mean you have to listen to what they say or try to live abiding by their rules. And I'm talking about your parents included. I know it can be very hard because your parents are always they have their opinions on what you should do and everything, but the reality is you are the one who's living your life. You know, nobody else is living your life for you. People can give you their opinions and their judgment all they want, but it's up to you whether you are going to absorb that or if you're going to protect yourself from that, keep a healthy boundary, and just live how you want to live. The truth is, people spend most of their time thinking about themselves instead of thinking about you. You might cross their mind for a minute or something, but after that, they'll forget about you and then they'll go back to thinking about themselves. So instead of giving so much power to other people's thoughts, opinions, and judgments, realize that they don't care. They don't care about you, so you should do what you want. So comment down below what you would do if you stopped caring about what other people thought of you. What would change about yourself or your life? Would you change the way you dress? Would you change your career? Like, what would you do? How would you live if it really didn't matter what people thought of you? Number 5, and this is a big one, is to recognize and release your need for external validation. This is something that I wish I knew when I was in my 20s because I wasn't even aware of this. I just operated how I did, but I wasn't aware of why I was the way I was, why certain things triggered me, why I felt like I had to prove myself to others, why I felt the need to succeed or put high expectations on myself, why I was ambitious in the first place. Was I naturally that way, or was I doing it because society taught me to, or because I was trying to prove myself to my parents or peers or whatever? So recognize where these internal drives are truly coming from. Are they coming from a natural, healthy place, or are they coming from trauma and an unhealthy place? Are you placing your self-worth in something outside of yourself? This is something we talk about on this channel, so I'll link self-worth playlist there and down below, but this is something that the earlier you can start digging, excavating, and understanding yourself, the sooner you can feel more at peace and free in your life. Number 6 is learn to be your authentic self. This one is easier said than done, but something I wish I had in my 20s was the confidence to just be myself, to say what I want to say, express how I feel, and allow my personality to shine in its real form. I felt like I didn't really know who I was. I filtered myself depending on who I was with. There were so many times where I tried to be more like this person, or I tried to be a certain way so that I thought people would like me better. But the truth is, people will love you if you are your authentic self, if you are confident in yourself. And it takes time, I understand, to build that confidence and that self-love. That's an entire journey that we talk about on this channel. But the sooner you can do that, the happier you will be, because every day gets easier. Every day gets easier if you love yourself, you support yourself, and you are confident in yourself. You have to learn that you are already worthy and already lovable as you are, as your authentic self. There's nothing you need to change. You don't have to try to be more like someone else. You don't have to hide certain parts of yourself. You have to learn to just, let go of that fear, put down the filter, and just be more of yourself. If you don't know who you are yet, that's okay. This is your time to learn who you are and do the things that make you feel good, that bring you joy. Do the things, say the things that just naturally come out of you, that make you feel like you are shining, because that is your authentic, truest self. Lesson number 7, I'm sure you've all heard the saying, follow your passion. And although it could be good advice to some people, it doesn't really apply to most of us, because when we're in our 20s, either we don't know what our passion is, or our passion is something that absolutely is not making money. So if you feel like you are in that boat, then the better thing to follow is number 1, your curiosity, and number 2, your fear. So number 1, follow your curiosity is a much better piece of advice than following your passion, because your passion is based off of what you have already been exposed to in your life. Like, what if you have a passion that you haven't discovered yet, right? So if you don't feel like you have a passion, or if you don't feel like your passion is relevant, then you should follow your curiosity to lead you to where you're meant to go. So your curiosity is quieter than a passion. A passion is like burning deep, it's like fire, right? But your curiosity is like a little baby flame. It's like, oh, that's interesting. Well, let me learn more about that. Or this topic is interesting, let's explore that. Or that job looks interesting, I wonder what it's like. That's what curiosity sounds like. It's baby. It's very subtle, it's gentle, but it's basically like breadcrumbs. I see curiosity as like following the little clues and the little breadcrumbs to where you're meant to go. So if you don't have a passion, follow your curiosity. The second one to follow is your fear. So I'm sure, hopefully you've heard by now that you should follow your fear. And what that means is not do something where you're gonna have to jump off a cliff and die. I'm not talking about like real fear or physical fears or any physically dangerous fears. What I'm talking about is to be aware of the dreams or the goals that feel scary to you, and pay attention to why they scare you. Typically, the things that scare us, whether it's like a project or a goal, they scare us because we care about it a lot. It's important to us, and because it's important to us, we don't want to mess it up. And in general, if you can learn to follow your fear and take action despite feeling scared, that will lead you to just groundbreaking positive impacts in your life, because you're not playing it safe. I always believe in doing the scary things, like just being bold, putting yourself out there, even if it's scary, because you're gonna grow so much more doing those things that feel scary. Lesson number 8, just take action. So I know that when you're feeling lost, you can spend a lot of time just sitting there thinking and wondering. And when you are just contemplating and thinking, sometimes you can't get clarity. Sometimes you can't get clarity until you go out and do the thing, try it out, test it out, and then you realize, oh, I don't like this about this path. Maybe this isn't the career path for me. Or maybe you might feel like, oh my God, I love doing this. This is so exciting. And that gives you validation to explore this path even more. So I'm all about kind of steering as you go with life, follow your intuition and your curiosity and try to take action in an area so that you can get feedback, and it will guide you to what's right for you. You'll get feedback when things don't feel right, and that's all part of the process. So instead of just sitting around or waiting around, I highly encourage you to just take action, any action in a certain area, so that you can start receiving feedback from life, and then that will kind of guide you to making better progress than if you were just sitting around thinking about it. Also, once you start taking action, you'll find that action breeds more action, because once you have like some momentum, it just naturally things start picking up and things start moving. So if you feel like you're stuck and you're lost and confused, just take action, any action, and then the answers and the feedback will come. Lesson number 9, stop being so hard on yourself. I know a lot of you struggle with this because I did too. You have to learn to release your perfectionism, release your high expectations that you're putting on yourself, all of that pressure that you're putting on yourself to have everything figured out and succeed right away. It's not about that. You're in a decade where you're meant to be lost. You're in a decade where you're meant to explore and find yourself, discover new things about yourself. And that journey is not clean cut and linear. That journey has a lot of messy mistakes, ups and downs, challenges. It's all normal. So don't be hard on yourself if you make a mistake or if you fail or if you're not where you think you're supposed to be. Ultimately, you need to learn how to embrace the uncertainty of life. You have to learn to be okay with not knowing everything. Be okay not being okay. Like everything is okay in the grand scheme of things. So work on that internal voice, that inner critic that you have in your mind, because that is going to define how you feel for much of this journey. If you're hard on yourself, then every single day is going to be a struggle. Like every single day when you don't have things figured out, it's going to feel hard. But if you learn to release that pressure and learn to love yourself along the way, then the journey will be much more enjoyable. Lesson number 10 is to embrace the struggles in life. Instead of feeling like, oh, why me? Why is this happening to me? Look at your struggles and your challenges as an opportunity. This is a chance for me to go through something new and difficult so that I can come out of it a better, wiser, stronger version of myself, because that's what struggles do. They refine you, they shape you, and ultimately, I believe they're in our life for a purpose. You can either let a struggle destroy you and make you feel bad about yourself and make you suffer, or you can see it as an opportunity to grow through that struggle. It's still going to be difficult. It's still not easy, but there is a positive coming out of it. You are stronger and better because of it. I find that oftentimes your struggle is related to your purpose in life. Because you've gone through a specific challenging situation, then you can help other people who are going through that situation. And you also have empathy for people who are going through that situation. For example, if I didn't go through my specific childhood traumas or things like that, I wouldn't have the empathy to be able to relate to people in my videos and help guide people through what I went through. The next piece of advice is on finding your purpose. So when I was in my 20s, I spent a lot of time agonizing about what my purpose was and feeling like I needed to know what it was right away so that I could be on the right path. But the truth is, your purpose reveals itself to you slowly over time. You can't force it. And I also had to broaden my horizons of what a purpose really was. A purpose doesn't have to be so specific. It doesn't have to be like, oh, I'm meant to do this job and have this role for the rest of my life. Now I see your purpose as simply utilizing what you have to contribute something in the world. And so half of that equation is understanding, okay, what do I have? What are my strengths, my talents? Who am I and what do I have? And then using what you have to bring value to others in the world. To put it more simply, I also believe that your purpose is simply doing and living in a way that lights you up, because naturally when you light up, you're doing the things you're good at, you're doing the things that make you feel good, and that naturally emanates. It naturally spreads that high vibe type of energy. It naturally helps other people because you're having fun doing whatever you're doing. So my advice is don't stress out about
about finding a specific purpose and having to know what it is. Simply follow the things that light you up.
Lesson number 12, understand the power of compounding. So if you don't know what compounding means, I suggest you look it up. I'll put a definition here. The first part of this is understanding how money can compound and grow over time with investing. I wish I knew about investing and compounding way earlier in life, because it's not about how much money you start with, it's about how early you start, because the more time you give, the more you allow something to compound. It's mathematical. So if you've ever seen that exponential curve, that's what happens with compounding. It starts out little by little. It doesn't seem like things are growing or moving very fast. And then as time goes on, the growth happens faster and faster and faster and faster until a point where it's just like, whew, crazy. Anyway, compounding not only applies to money, but it also applies to your skills, your knowledge, your network. So consider the power of compounding in your life. For example, compounding your daily habits. If you have a positive habit a day, like meditating every single day consistently, in the beginning, you're not gonna notice that much of a change in your life, but it's one of those things that if you stay consistent and you give a little bit each day, over time, it compounds and it changes your life in drastic ways. That is what I mean by the power of compounding, is to not underestimate the power of small little actions, or like just adding a little bit each day, boom, boom. And then over time, you're like, whoa, I read this many books, or I did this. Basically, a little bit can go a long way if you are consistent with it and you give it enough time. Number 13, learn about money. So going off the previous tip, I wish that in my early 20s, I really learned how to manage my finances, budget, understand taxes. Like, I felt like school didn't teach us any of that stuff, and you had to figure it out for yourself by trial and error, watching other people's YouTube videos. But I definitely think understanding and learning how to manage finances, understanding money, how money works, you know, where money comes from, where the value comes from, all of that is so important to living life, because money is a part of our everyday life. It's our exchange of value. When I was younger, I used to see money as like evil, like, oh, I don't want to learn about money. Oh, I don't want to make money. I just want to make art. I think there was such a negative connotation to caring about money. Maybe I thought that it meant that you're greedy, or like, oh, the world already has so many, you know, ultra wealthy, rich people. There's this disparity between the rich and poor, all these problems. So I don't want to think about money or care about money. But the truth is, you have to understand the system in order to change it, or in order to make sure that you can survive well in the system. You can't survive without money. That's the truth. So money is part of our everyday lives, and it's something that you should learn and understand. Even if you don't think you have enough money right now, you can already start learning about investing. Learn about all the different ways you can invest your money. Learn about what passive income is and the very many options of passive income streams out there, because I'm all about having multiple income streams. I didn't know about this before when I was young. I thought that I didn't need to learn about investing because I didn't have money to invest. That's how I thought back then in my 20s. And now I'm like, no, knowledge is power. So if you have the time, if you're interested, definitely make the time to start learning, because it's always going to help you. So if you can, definitely start learning about these things early on so that you can set yourself up for success when more money does come into your life, and then you'll already know what to do with it. Lesson number 14, don't compare your path to others. We're all on our individual journeys. We're just here to support and help each other, but we're not here to like compare and compete with each other. At least that's how I see it. Sometimes healthy competition is good and it helps you thrive as your best self, but not when it's negative. Not when like for example, when you see someone succeed, it doesn't take away from your own worth. It doesn't mean that you failed. Someone else's success does not mean your failure. And unfortunately, I feel like a lot of people see the world like that because of maybe the way they're raised. So it's so crucial to truly understand that you are worthy and you are valuable and you are unique, and your path is unique from other people's paths. So no matter what you see, no matter what other people are doing in their life, it shouldn't really affect you. Last piece of advice I'll share today is to trust the journey. No matter where you are in your journey, no matter how confusing or difficult it feels, trust that this is all part of what you're meant to experience in life, where you're meant to go. What you're going through now will make so much more sense later on with time. It might not make sense now, but who knows, like next year, a few years down the line, you're like, oh, I understand why that needed to happen, or how this event or this scenario helped me grow into a better, stronger version of myself. And also sometimes things don't go the way you want them to go, but trust that that is also happening for a reason. Trust that that is redirecting you to another direction that is where you are meant to go. So I firmly believe that everything happens for a reason. So even if you don't understand why, just learn to just trust the process, trust the journey. I hope this was helpful. I just want to remind you that you are not alone. There are so many other people who are experiencing what you're going through. A lot of people have gone through this and we've made it out alive. We're fine. Everything will be okay in the end. And you are just in this process of learning and exploring and growing. So wishing you all the best. Let me know down below which one was your favorite tip or piece of advice. What are you going to apply to your life? All right, see you next time. Bye.